And I will certainly, giving my word, will pass on any support to him as best I can. And I'm joined by Calodagh McCumiskey. Good morning to you, Calodagh.
Good morning, Alan. Lovely to be here.
You were listening to that letter I read out today, and we're going to discuss meditation, but you want to speak to this gentleman who is nameless, and you want to say something to him, do you?
Yeah, no, I would, like, he's clearly under a lot of stress and has a lot of problems, and I would help him get strong inside so he could develop the inner resources to handle those problems. So I'd be very happy to meet with him one-on-one and see how I can help him and support him.
Well, I have your details and I have his, so we'll see what happens there. Look, it's 23 minutes past 11. I was asking you off air, what's the difference between meditation and, say, something like yoga? And there's a big difference, is there?
Well, there's a difference. I mean, the original purpose of yoga is to learn to direct your mind or to master your mind. And meditation is also the same. But the entry point in physical yoga is the body, and the entry point in meditation is the mind. We have about 60,000 thoughts a day. And 90% of those thoughts we would have had yesterday. And for most of us, where our thinking becomes very habitual, so we probably had those same thoughts 4 years ago or 10 years ago or whatever. And meditation slows our mind down so that we can see how our thinking is affecting our lives, and it can help us think a little bit more resourcefully and constructively.
People lead some very stressed lives, or most of us lead stressed lives, and it's very hard sometimes to switch off. I mean, one bit of advice I was given is never check your Facebook page or check the news the last thing at night before you go to bed. You need to have a clear mind. Is that something that you think people need to do more, the ability to switch off?
Yeah, like a meditation is a way of finding the off button. Yeah, and in modern life, there's so many weapons of mass distraction. You know, there's so many social media outlets, and there's telephone, we're constantly being bombarded with messages and whatever. And if we have a nature that those things put us under pressure, we should definitely avoid them before sleep. But for some people, those things are kind of more, they're less stress oriented. So it depends on the person. But definitely we should find some way in our lives, whether it's through running or meditation, of finding an off button.
Okay. We have, as you say, 60,000 thoughts today, but I want to get into the core of this because you have this structured very nicely for me today, so I want to make sure I hit all the right points. It's focused on awareness of something, and you give me a list like cleaning the house, the car, or your clothes, or your teeth. Yeah.
So what we do in life, we clean the house, we clean the car, we clean our clothes, we clean our teeth, but what do we do for our mind? Yeah. So we can look at meditation in many ways, but one of the ways we can understand it, it's a tool for cleaning your mind. And what happens when we meditate is we're practicing the practice of awareness. So as we become more aware in our meditation, that translates directly to our daily life. So we become more aware how we are, what we're bringing to situations, if we're bringing anxiety or are we just bringing ourselves to situations. And our thinking actually slows down. And somehow or other, the practice focusing on the awareness, that actually has an effect of cleaning the mind. It's like, sometimes I feel it's like giving your brain a massage or giving your mind a shower or whatever way you want to look at it. But it slows your thoughts down and it gets rid of the trash thoughts.
Excellent, yeah. Fascinated by this, I have to tell you. What about Japa Yoga? It's an ancient...
Japa Yoga is an ancient practice. So I teach different types of meditation, some breath work, mindfulness, but I also teach a meditation called Japa Yoga. So yoga just means union. Union of what? Union of mind, body and soul. So what happens when we practice any form of yoga, we feel more in balance within, and that makes us feel more in balance and in harmony with the world around us. So our relationships in our lives improve, our relationship with ourselves and also with others. Japa just means muttering. So what happens in Japa is that we repeat different sounds or different chants, and that has an effect of building awareness, but it also cleans our mind and it gives us courage and strength to implement changes in our lives. A lot of us want to change how we are, but somehow or other we can't somehow or other feel differently in situations. Sometimes situations come that bring frustration, and we would like to not feel frustrated, but we can't. So meditation is a way of slowing your mind down so that you can choose to feel differently and respond differently in different situations.
A lot is in the voice, because, I mean, you have a relaxing voice. I mean, Lee in there at the moment, I can see him totally focused on what you're saying this morning. And, like, is it the power of the meditator as well, to be able to relax?
It's the power of the meditator, and that will happen to anybody who actually relaxes. And so like I do a lot of sound meditation, so that has an effect of, I suppose, raising the vibration of the voice and making it more powerful and more soothing and easier to connect with.
Could that on occasion be complemented by music, Calodagh?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. So we generate sound. Music can also be very, very soothing as well, absolutely.
Yeah. Let's look at, say, building awareness, courage and energy. Can you explore that for me?
Okay, so a lot of us, some of us want to say yes to certain things in life, but we're afraid. Yeah. Some of us want to say no in certain situations, but we're afraid to say no. We get into kind of relationships with people and we have difficulty honouring ourselves or being true to ourselves or being authentic to ourselves. So what happens is, first of all, the meditation will slow your mind down so you're aware of how you're helping yourself and how you're going against yourself in your daily life. And then what will happen is it'll give you the courage to make different changes so that you can be true to yourself whilst honouring and respecting other people in all situations. Sometimes you find yourself in a situation and you've agreed to something without really wanting to do it. Yeah. So meditation will give you the courage to actually be true to yourself in those kinds of situations. I often describe the journey of meditation, it's the journey from fear to freedom, so that you can feel free to be yourself and to be true to yourself whilst honouring and respecting other people in all situations.
So how do you make it work? Somebody listening to us this morning, listen to you describe it. How do you practice it?
You just sit down. Like if you're practicing japa, you'd sit down and do some chanting. But if you're practicing other types of meditation, you just focus. It could be on the breath. It could be on a chakra in your body. It could be on a candle. And you focus on that. And the more you practice, that just has an effect of cleaning your mind. In the same way that we clean the house or we clean the car, that has an effect of cleaning your mind and slowing it down. And it might seem strange, and even to me, like I've been practicing this meditation for about 7 years now, the mind can only understand what it has experienced. It can't understand what it hasn't experienced. So what I always recommend to people is to try it once and see the experience for yourself. And if you like it, then keep it going for 6 weeks and watch the changes that happen in your life. Watch the transformation.
Yeah. So you mentioned the candle there. So do you just you find a quiet place in the house, or how do you practice?
So that practice is called tratak. Yeah. So you would sit down and you would focus on the candle, and the candle would be a couple of feet away. There might be some finer points if somebody wants to come, and I can teach those. And the other thing is I also have weekly meditation classes just 1 kilometre from here.
Whereabouts are they?
It's at my place in Rocklands.
Yeah.
So if anybody's interested, my details I'm sure will be at the reception there.
Okay.
I have a centre out there in Rocklands and it's called Spiritual Earth. It's just at the side of my house, and I teach meditation there 3 nights a week.
Have I pronounced your first name incorrectly?
No, you're on.
Calodagh. Calodagh. Yeah, I was calling it Calodagh. Breathing. I was speaking to 1 or 2 people recently who said they have a difficulty in getting the right breath, particularly when they're stressed. Now, this has nothing to do with health. It's just get a little bit nervy, or they're exercising and they find it hard to get the breath right. Yeah,
so breathing, like we breathe approximately 21,600 times a day. So getting our breathing right is really, really important. If we look at how much we drink water or eat food, the breath, what's the first thing we do when we're born? We breathe, and the last thing we do before we pass on is to breathe. So the breath is the source of our life. Yeah. What happens when a lot of people get stressed, they don't breathe beyond the chest. So they don't breathe properly into their stomach. Yeah. And what happens then is that your body has a lot more work to do to get oxygen around the body and to get rid of waste products. Yeah. So if the first thing to do would be to make sure that we're breathing right into our stomach. In Ireland, we're not often taught how to breathe, and any time we get knocks and shocks in life, and traumas, that sometimes we stop breathing. So, or we breathe in a shallow way. So for people in breathing, if, a few times a day you can bring yourself back to your breath, and in your mind just say, I am breathing in, I am breathing out, and breathe right into your stomach, and make sure that the breath is going into the stomach. Because if the breath is going into the stomach properly, that way we can charge our battery properly. And so it's easiest to practice the breathing into the stomach when you're actually lying down. Okay. Yeah, because if you're habitually breathing in a shallow way and you try and do it seated or standing up, it's not so easy. So what I would recommend when people get up in the morning, or before they get out of bed in the morning, or in the evening, or at any time, an interval during the day, just to take 10 deep breaths right into the stomach. And you can even put your hand on your stomach and on your chest to make sure that the hand on the stomach is the one that's moving and that not the one on your chest.
How did you get involved in all of this? What attracted you to it?
Okay, so I did aid work for 15 years in Africa and Asia, and my mum had a stroke about 7 years ago, so I had to come back to help out in Wexford.
Of course.
And I suppose when I was away, I was really amazed. I met a lot of different people, and I met people, who'd been affected by serious disasters, tsunami or earthquakes or floods, and I met people who literally had nothing. Yeah, and I was amazed by how people could be happy in certain circumstances, yeah? And in some respects, I had everything but wasn't happy, yeah? So I realized that there was some fault in my thinking, yeah? Or they had something in their thinking that was making them happy, yeah? So I became fascinated by that. And when I came home, I just had this idea that meditation would help me. So I tried a silent meditation for about 6 months, and that benefited me, and it gave me strength and courage to sit with myself. And then one day I met somebody who introduced me to the japa, and that's been part of my daily life ever since. So I suppose before I used to give people the resources to get their lives back on track in an emergency context. And the way I look at it now is I help people who have anxiety problems or stress problems or frustration problems get their lives back on track. And the other benefit of meditation is that it really boosts your creative energy. So it's very practical for business people or for anybody who's in a job, even a high-powered job. It gives you more energy and more creativity to solve problems and to grow your business.
How long should you spend meditating?
A lot of people ask that question. It's the basic thing would be whatever amount of time you're willing to do it. So what I often suggest to people at the start is even if you just do 5 minutes a day and just get something into your daily life, and then once you start noticing the benefits of it, you'll actually want to spend a little bit more. But if somebody would spend 20 to 30 minutes a day, that would bring huge benefits.
Yeah. Just on the subject of young people and psoriasis as well, there are two issues just to round off our chat with you this morning. First of all, young people, you find that this could be beneficial for students?
Absolutely. I have a couple of young people, school-going students that come to me regularly for meditation, and they get huge benefits, and it helps them focus. Like, different people will get different mental and different physical benefits from meditation depending on their starting point. So I have had people come to me with skin problems or, severe anxiety problems and whatever, and the meditation would help address those. But for students, it would help them focus more and get better results. It would help them be stronger in themselves, be less susceptible to peer pressure and bullying, be able to kind of be themselves and be true to themselves in situations, and say no when they want to say no, and kind of stand up when they want to stand up.
It clears the mind, gets them focused.
And it makes them strong.
Have you a website? Because I know... I
have a Facebook page. It's called Spiritual Earth Japa Meditation, and I'm in the process of developing a website, spiritualearth.ie, and that has some... It's up there, but it doesn't have all the details of all my programs, but it will over the coming weeks.
Really enjoyed chatting to you today. Wish you well.
Thank you so much, Alan.
Is your mum okay?
Yeah, I live with her, and she's at home, and she's doing great.
Okay, well, thanks for relaxing us all today. We're all in a meditative frame of mind. In a few moments' time, we're going to turn our attention to taking the tackle out of rugby.